Hey, welcome everyone. Today more than ever, the world needs voices that spark change, ignite hope, and drive transformation. Change doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when individuals choose to step forward, speak up, and take bold action. Whether you're leading a global movement or making a difference in your own community, your voice has power. In this podcast, we aim to amplify those voices, share the journey of resilient change makers, and inspire each of you to recognize your potential to impact the world. Let's create a ripple effect together. Welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I am your host, Al Richards. I am also a internationally certified and crisis recovery coach. I believe that recovery all starts with the brain first approach. Today, with our guest, my good buddy, my pal, my brother, Joe Valentine, and I, today we're going to be speaking about growth. So, Joe, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with me. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man. I look forward to this. It's great to be back.
Yeah, yeah, second time, and I believe, gosh, it was literally over a year ago. It was the first time that you came on the show, and the other day when you and I was talking, when I reached out to you to ask if you'd like to come back on, you was saying that you really would love to come on because your life has changed so much since the first time that you came on the show. And I believe this is, or my version of it is that was one of the reasons why we came up with growth, is because it is something, as both you and I know, it's something that we continuously work on, right? At least you and I know. I really look at it as there is no finish line when it comes to growth. We're always evolving. There's always a different place, a better place that we can go to. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree. Yeah, it is. And I'm glad that we chose the subject of growth because it's something that's always evolving, and it's my personal opinion that it should be. A lot of people don't realize that from the minute we wake up 12 hours later, we're a different person, right? We're a different person from the time we go to bed, from the time that we wake up. Excuse me. And so I'm excited to talk about this topic and explore the growth that you and I both have experienced in over the year that we've known each other, right? Because uh, our first podcast, I was pretty raw, right? I was pretty emotionally raw, right? And I've grown a lot since that point. So it'll probably be a little less, a little less. Maybe not. I mean, I'm still raw as a human being, but I'm just not as emotionally charged as I was at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I like what you said because again, we've known each other a little over a year. We met at the 2023 October Healing Utah Success Summit, and shortly after that, you and I went on a hike together, and our friendship has built from that day forward. And I definitely have to say, looking back to see the person that you was the first time that I met you, even myself, we have both come a long way in 12, 13 months, 14 months. And it's amazing if you look back at that journey to see our growth. And what has been really cool about this is you and I have witnessed each other's growth. And I think that's really cool.
Right. It has been a pleasure. It's definitely been a journey, right? And I'm all about it because life, that's what really builds us is life and the journeys and the difficulties, how we respond and how we grow through those difficulties, right? I mean, if you have an easy life, you're going to have a hard life. I believe that truly. If I had an option to build a man from being a little guy up to a big guy, I would give him challenges like I had in my life because I know that the amount of growth and fortitude and things that he will gain from those kind of challenges will enable him to be able to be a man when he grows up.
Yeah. And with you saying that, the first thing that popped in my head, for me, my higher power is God. And I talk to him quite a bit, almost daily throughout the day, and I call him my father, right? So does he not give us challenges in our life in hoping that we learn our lesson and we grow from it? Because I often believe that growth happens by stepping into the unknown. And a lot of times we are stepping into the unknown every day, right? We have no clue what's going to happen even an hour from now.
Right. I agree. No, and it's super funny. Yes, I agree with you 100%. And I believe in a higher power. I believe in God, just for me personally as well. And as you know, and that's funny that you bring that up, is I go to church every Sunday. And the topic today was we overcomplicate our lives, and we ask our Father for things that we're not ready to have because we haven't yet gone through the difficulties we need to go through in order to handle the blessings that we are requesting. And it made me take a really hard look at my life and everything that I've been doing and what I've gone through. And I believe that everything that I have gone through has been in preparation for me to be able to, in order to handle the blessings that are still waiting for me, as long as I'm willing to step in to that calling.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are your thoughts on this? And I'd really like to hear them. And I think you and I have probably touched base on this in some of our talks.
On what? Sorry,
Well,
buddy.
just I'm getting ready. So just sometimes I feel that God continuously puts us through a same lesson. I was working on a project yesterday, and when I was doing some writing on it, it was like I don't know how many times I hit my knees or wherever I was at, and I'm saying a prayer and I'm asking God, why am I continuously going through this? Why? And it's taken me some time to figure out that I wasn't learning the lesson. And I think that's just basically kind of what you just shared with about what you heard today in church. When you finally get the lesson, I think that's when you can finally move on to go to the next lesson.
I agree. And that's when you get your blessing too. And I think that's very cyclic in life. I believe that, let's touch on toxic relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe until you learn your lesson, whether you're male or female, this is just the toxic relationship part, that until you learn to take accountability for the lessons and the reasons why you're in that relationship, then you will continue to repeat that cycle. And the reason why you continuously do that is so you can learn that lesson. And once you learn the lesson, then you receive the blessing of being able to understand what it's like to not be a toxic person, not to have a low self esteem, because as we know in toxic relationships, whatever that looks like, male or female, whichever carrier of it is, one accepts it, the other one dishes it out, right? And just, I've learned I kept having toxic relationship after toxic relationship after toxic relationship, right? Until I learned to pick a different type of relationship. And I was only able to pick a different type of relationship, as you were able to see, for the year that we've known each other. I was single up until, not long ago,
Yeah.
until I was able to heal myself. And then God blessed me with a good woman. Even though I was asking him to bless me with a good woman, God was like, why would I bless you with somebody so you could hurt them when you're not ready for it again?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's that lesson, and it's hard for us to dig down deep and look at our own issues, because we're afraid what we're going to find, right? And that's I think that's what hurts a lot of society is we're so good at judging other people on what we see. However, we're not taking a good long hard look at ourselves inside. Because I tell you what, since I've started this podcast, coming up almost on 4 years, and all the amazing guests I've had on, and all the amazing people God has put in my life, it has been teaching me things constantly. And one of the things that has really, really helped me in my growth is really digging down inside and going, really, who am I? And of course, I made that decision over 16 years ago that I wanted to be a different person. However, it's still even up to 16 years, I still have not perfected it by looking inside to find what's going on with me. What lesson, what part of whatever just happened in my life, what part did I play? And I think it's really hard for individuals to dig down deep and look at that in themselves. And until you do, I think that holds you back in your growth.
And it does. I agree with you 100%. So, I'm going to be vulnerable because I'm all about that. So, the relationship that I am currently in, I believe if it fails, as it sits right now, if it were to fail, it would be my fault. And I've taken a look at this today and on my drive home and things like that is I have a really great relationship. I have a really good person. Like my person is a really good person. You've met her, you know her. She's just a phenomenal human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, as I have expressed to you, when we're able to talk in times that I'm really having a hard time accepting that. But that's not on her, that's on me, right? And then I take a look back on the things that I think I need, I have to have, and things like that. And it's really forced me to take a really long, hard look at and be accountable to myself and what I got going on in my life. And I'm grateful to be able to dissect myself in order to be able to look at and have 100% accountability for why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what I love about our friendship. You and I have gotten on some pretty heavy conversations. And whether we're working together on a job or just over the phone talking, and you know what's been going on in my life about the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and being able to have somebody be honest and open up to you and say what they're seeing means a lot to me. It really means a lot. The old me, I probably would have put up my wall and my ego would have kicked in and I would have shut you down going, Joe doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. However, the growth that I have gone through in my life, I now allow these voices to come in and talk to me. And then I dissect to see, okay, are they right? Are they right? Am I exactly where this person said I'm at? And it has really, really helped me make some really tough decisions here just in the last week, as you know. And it's crazy the weight that comes off of you once you finally get to that point. And I love that you put it that way. You and I have had so many talks, and you've shared some stuff with me, and I love that you sit back, Joe, and you evaluate things instead of jumping right into it and making a decision. You look where both parties are at. What part do I play? And it's like Cap and I like to say, what's that message in the mirror? So I really look up to you for that because you've really helped me grow a lot quicker in that aspect. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. It's a lot of work, and I really, really, really at my life today want to take just 100% ownership, right? So where I'm at financially, it's my fault. If I want to, it's all on me, right? Like everything is on me. If something isn't going the right way, it's 100% on me. And I want to continue to practice that in my life and be able to accept the fact that it is my fault and it is me because that way it's all accountability. I'm not looking to pawn my shit off on somebody else and have that victim mentality because, as you know, more than anybody in the world, I hate that. Right?
Mhm.
I despise victim mentality. It doesn't matter to me what you've been through. Having a victim mentality is unacceptable, right? Because we've all gone through some horrific stuff, horrific, but there's no need to be a victim to it.
Yeah. That just holds us back, right? I mean, you've heard me do some of my public speaking and the story about that phone call I received from my daughter and the talk I had with Dave DeRocher, and I lived a big part of my life, actually probably the majority of my life in that victim mentality. And I just spoke about that at last year's Healing Utah Success Summit about being in that victim mentality. And it really holds us back. You know, I have met people in the past year that let's say they came into my life and then pushing me out of their life because of certain things that was said or however they want to look at it. And I go back now and I start understanding whatever's happened in their life, they're still allowing that to control their life. Thus, they're still in that victim mentality.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Right. And that I really want to help people get out of that because once you get out of the victim mentality, then you're the event happened to you and you are no longer the event that happened to you. If I explain that correctly,
Yeah.
right? So instead of you allowing that horrible event to identify who you are and identify with it, you separate from it once you're able to take accountability, once you're able to look at it from the non-victim mentality, then you're allowed to separate all those emotions about trying to blame somebody else and blame this and do that and do this. And and maybe you never know, man, we might get some flashback on this, some pushback, but ultimately in every situation that there is, at a certain point in an adult's life, you have to take accountability, right? When you're a child and there's things that happen to you, there's nothing that you can do about that. And it's not your fault, but how you choose to view what happened to you is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, that's what I mean by taking 100% accountability, right? When I was a kid and I got abused horribly, that's not my fault. I didn't do anything to deserve that. But how I look at what that situation was today, that's on me. That's 100% accountability. Do I let that define me or do I let it grow me? Right. And, I'm way past that. It was just an example, right? Like I choose to grow from that. I choose to grow from every drug I ever took, every drink I ever took, every fight I've ever been in, every relationship that I've destroyed, every toxic situation, every time anything. Like I just sit and I go back through all of these things that I've done in my life and be like, how could I have changed that? What could I have done different? This, and this, because then it takes the power away from anybody else around me and it's all in my court and how I perceive, process, and go forward is on me.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts about when we are looking at it that way and holding on to things? I'm just sitting here thinking that the discomfort is actually where the magic happens.
It is. I agree that you should sit in the dark, man. A lot of people say don't wallow, don't sit in the shit. I disagree with that. I'm in long-term recovery. I've been in recovery for a long time, and I hear a lot of people in recovery say, "Don't sit in your shit. Don't sit up there too long in those thoughts." I think you should sit in those thoughts until you're able to deal with them, right? Because it's the thoughts that you're avoiding and the work that you're not doing that is causing you to have discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah, that discomfort, again, that's where the magic happens because you learn so much about yourself at that time. At least it's done that for me when I
I
take those
agree.
quiet times and look back and reflect on it. It's connecting those dots backwards. And it's like, oh my hell. And we talked about it earlier in the show. So many blessings have showed up from all that too by allowing myself to sit in the shit and figure out and learn. It's been a great part of my journey. And I don't feel I'd be where I'm at today if I wasn't sitting in my shit at
There's
times.
no way. Me too. I would not be sober. I wouldn't be sober if I wasn't able to face all the things that I've done, right?
Yeah.
Because, whatever anybody's vice is and what they choose and what they do and whatever that looks like, it's all just a cover up to be able to numb, avoid, or not deal with something, right? And in order for you to be okay with you, you have to be able to sit in the shit and recognize, okay, this is where I went wrong. This is how I could have done better. If this situation comes up again, this is how I can deal with that at a better level.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the cool thing about growth, what makes it so meaningful is the journey. We hear that like in the recovery community, right? That it's not an easy process. When you finally realize that you can sit and enjoy the journey, that's when the magic happens. You've come on some hikes with me, and there's certain hikes that are fairly easy, right? The path is smooth. There's not a lot of obstacles. However, there's other hikes where you've got to really be careful where you step. You've got to watch where you're going. You got to climb up over rocks or go over a tree. And it reminds me of life. It reminds me of our growth and our journey every single time. Because I was talking, I was talking to somebody just the other day, you know, they said, why can't life just be freaking smooth all the time? Why does all this stuff ever have to happen? Well, it's because it's teaching us, it's making us stronger as individuals, and it's teaching us a lesson. And 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have never looked at it that way. I would have been falling to go back into that victim mentality. I'm like, oh shit, here it goes again, right? It's coming at me again. What the hell did I do to deserve this? And now I can sit here and go, why did this just happen? What part did I play in this? What caused me to go this direction? And I tell you what, that freaking helps life a little bit more manageable. It doesn't put so much on your shoulders. At least it doesn't for me.
No, I agree because I'm always super careful when I hear somebody say that, right? Why does this keep happening to me? I automatically take a look back at the person who I'm talking to, how long I've known them, and look at their life cycle. And usually they could answer that own question, right?
Yeah.
Because life keeps happening to us because we keep putting ourselves in a position for that same situation to keep happening, right? And I'm blessed today that I have been able to. I live a life of pretty much. I don't have a lot of drama in my life, but there used to be where every day I would wake up, I'm like, here we go again, right?
Yeah.
But I've learned that lesson, right? If I don't want that in my life, then I can't allow that kind of I can't allow those type of people who have that mentality of, oh, why does this keep happening to me? Oh, this keeps happening to me. Oh, life is so unfair. Oh, well, it's really not unfair. It's the choices that we keep making that make it seem unfair. Life is pretty equal to all of us, pal. I mean,
Yeah.
if you really
Yes.
think about it, it's a level playing field. It's evenly dispersed amongst whooping all of our asses at any time.
Yep.
like, like none of us are above it, right? But the choices we make during our daily life will impact the severity of life kicking us in the balls every day.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about it during the show so far, and you've mentioned it, I think, two or three times. Again, that's that choice, right? We have a choice to make whatever change that we want to change in our life. Unfortunately, so many of us are scared to choose a different route because at least I could be miserable in my job. I could be miserable in my relationship. However, I'm willing to stay there because it's something I know. I'm uncomfortable in stepping into something I don't know. And I've seen that definitely since being in the single community. I've seen that so much. And it sits, I scratch my head a lot on that, that people are so afraid to move into a different direction, especially when they're being treated a different way and they've never been treated that way. It's so uncomfortable for them. They'd rather live in the misery of the uncomfortableness because at least they know how to control it and they know how to protect themselves from it.
I 100% agree. And being comfortable, fear and the fear, because people are scared to go into the unknown. Fear is the number one killer of success in dreams, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Because instead of stepping into the unknown with faith that it's going to be okay, people so often are attached to the outcome of the decision. And decisions are so crazy in life because You don't know until you make it. You have to make the decision in order for you to know. You like whether it's college, starting a business, starting a new relationship, getting out of a new relationship, whatever, like all of these things, every decision we make in life, you never know the outcome until you've made the decision. And so many people are so scared of making that decision, whether it be from lack of self confidence, self worth, security, whatever it is. People fear the unknown.
Yeah. And fear, again, my version, fear is the devil's greatest ally because when we have that fear, he keeps us where he wants us to keep us. He doesn't want us to evolve. He doesn't want us to grow. He doesn't want us to become better, right? When we're sitting in our own sorrow and our own pity, he's got us, right? Because that's when he goes to work. And then we start thinking other things and start making wrong choices. And I don't know, what is growth? Is growth all about perfection to you?
No, not for me, because every single day I've got to improve on a lot of single things, right? And I think there's a fine line between, how do I want to put this? Between having gratitude and not having enough drive. Does that make sense? So, as far as perfection, when you're going for growth, if you make a move and it's a better move for you, then you're growing, right? But then so often we set the goal or we set the bar. We're like, okay, I want to get to this point, whatever it is, right? Like financially, in our job, with our relationships, this and this, that you reach that bar and then we forget to notice, hey, we've actually made it this far because human beings are set up to this. Society and humans and our minds are set to go, what's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? Right? Even in entrepreneurship, business. Okay, well, you think that you'd be happy once you hit 100,000, but the minute you hit 100,000, now you're looking at two, and then you're looking at two to four to a million, from a million to five, from 5 million to 100, right? Like that's always how it goes. If you think about it, scale your business, scale this, do that, get more, get more, get more, get more. So I think people should really set the goal and enjoy the goal. I'm not saying not go for more, but reach that goal and don't pick that goal apart so much.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did I answer that right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's more of enjoying the journey to your destination.
Right. And doing your best to honor the journey, right?
Yeah.
Like anybody in any relationship with any job, with any amount of money, driving any car, sitting in any house, wearing any kind of clothes can easily show a lack of gratitude and think that what they have is not enough, man. And I'm all for goals. You know me. Like I go hard every day. I have goals. I want money. I want a business. I want to speak. I want to help people. And I will reach those goals, but I'm not sitting there thinking of those goals, sitting in my current situation, ignoring the blessings that I have. I am so blessed to be where I am today, personally, with my relationship, with my job, with the car I'm driving, with the friends that I have. Like, I am not ignorant to what I have in my life. And I think there's just a huge fine line between being able to have the gratitude and enjoy where you are, but yet still, personally, for everybody, whatever their idea of happiness is trying to reach that, but do not ignore the journey and have it all be in vain, right? And destroy everything along the way to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've used this on the show quite a few times. When you reach a top of a mountain, you've hit the bottom of the next.
You have. I
And,
agree.
and we continue to go that direction.
Right. And I think it's important for people to just distinguish what is their top and enjoy the journey and appreciate it and keep it all intact. And then once you've reached that top, take time to be okay with your top, right? Whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, just with this growth thing, man, there's just so many of us too that we just feel like we've gone as far as we can go. You know, and
Um,
society teaches that to us, right? I mean, I was taught and raised, which is no fault of my parents, right? Because that's how they were taught and raised, which is no fault of their parents. You know, you go to school, you get an education, you either go to college, if not, you go in the military, if not, you go get a job, you work your ass off, you move yourself up the chain and you stay there till you retire. And when I lost my job of 24 years, even when I was there 24 years, I had that same mind mentality that I'm successful. I made it. You know, I was making a ton of money. However, I was still broke due to house payment and car payments and everything else. However, I felt like that I had made it. I had been successful. I did everything that I was taught to do. Once I lost that job, my journey the past 16 years has been a whole different journey. And it has really, the whole journey has been all about growth. When you look at yourself deep down and you drop your ego and you allow somebody to get in your face and you listen to them telling you that people looked at you as a liar and a manipulator, and you're going, no, that's not true. But then when you sit in your own shit, as we've talked about, and you start evaluating yourself and you start realizing, oh my gosh, they're right. And I've wanted to go to certain areas in my life since that day I lost my job. However, my main focus has been that growth. And I didn't even really know where to start. And I think a lot of us don't know where to start. Thus, here comes the fear again, right? That holds us back. I just say pick something and go for it. And if it doesn't work, pick something else and go for it. If it doesn't work, pick something and go for it. Even if we failed at it, we still learned, we still grew. And I don't think, like you said, we don't give ourselves enough credit for it.
I agree. There's a lot to unpack in what you just said. Society will keep you sick, man. I'm going to say that right now, and everybody that hears this, right? Because it's a real deal. Society will keep you sick because everybody thinks you have to have a college education to be successful. There's multi-billionaires out there who never went to college who started businesses. Just saying. You don't have to be stuck in the matrix, and you don't have to do the 9 to 5 all the time. It's not. If that's the way somebody wants to live and they're happy, that's fine. But that is not a requirement of life, right? And there's so many other ways to live life and be free and not be tied down. And it's just society programs their kids and people so much into thinking that if that is not what you're doing, if you're not going to college, then you're not smart. If you're not making $700,000 a year, then you're not successful, right? Well, the deal is you don't have to make that kind of money. Like for me, I'm going to drive a Lambo here this year is my goal, right? So I'm going to have to make that kind of money, but that's not because society says it's just because the maths out, right?
Yeah.
So just do your own math, set your
Yeah.
own goals, and kill the noise. I'm a huge believer in killing the noise, buddy, because I can sit here today and tell you that I was everything that there was to be under the sun as a broken individual, right? I didn't know how to be not violent. I didn't know how to be faithful. I didn't know how to be a good friend. I didn't know how to be self absorbed. But today, that's not who I am. I'm far from that. And so many people who have a past allow people from their past in their life to continue to drive that into their heads. And if those people can't see who you are today and accept you for you today and want to see you as who you were yesterday, then I'm a firm believer in protecting your energy at all costs. And you got to cut that noise, right? Because it's you versus you. And if somebody's going to sit there and try to take you down, tear you down or not be encouraging or not be supportive to your goals and where you want to go and how you want to grow, if you're a habitual liar, then you need people in your life that say, you know what, I believe in you and you don't have to do this anymore. If you do drugs, if you drink, you need people in your life that are going to tell you, once an addict, always an addict, you don't need that. You
Yeah.
need people in your life that are telling you, hey, you know what? I believe in you. You can do this. What can I do? How can I be supportive? Kind of like how we are when little Timmy's too, and he's trying to walk. Everybody's encouraging little Timmy to walk, right? Those are the type of people you need in your life. You want to be a billionaire, then you need to hang out with people who have gone through the struggle, who believe in you because they did it, so they know you can do it.
Yeah. And that's well put, Joe. Again, you and I have talked about this. For the listeners, just so you guys know, if you want to make a change in your life, however, there's certain people in your life that has kind of got the same life as you. The only way you're going to get to the next level is you've got to leave some people behind. And I know you'll agree with me on that, Joe, because you literally do. I mean, somebody recently came into my life, what, 5, 6 weeks ago, and you could tell what it did to me. It completely changed my whole energy, everything. And you could tell just by our conversations over the phone. You could tell that something was going on. It is a true thing that you have to cut ties with certain individuals. Doesn't mean that you can't still be their friend. Be a friend from a distant. Because Joe, I know you're the type of guy that you are very, very particular who you let in your circle. And it's not that you're better than them. It's because you're doing your best to protect where you want to be and who you want to be. And I really feel a lot of us need to do that. We have to be very particular who we allow in our circle, in our bubble, because I only want people in my life and in my bubble who are going to inspire me and who will tell me the truth and somebody I can tell the truth to and somebody that I can inspire. Because when we're doing that, we're all growing together. And I think that helps us grow a little quicker, other than living in a bubble with those that don't have that same type of mentality.
It's not, you're 100% right. As a matter of fact, I'm not better than anybody in my circle. Everybody in my circle is better than me. I look at that way on purpose because it is the truth and it is by design. Because everybody in my circle, I can learn from, I can grow from, and they have been through shit that they can tell me this is how you need to get through your shit, right? Or give me advice. And it's the hardest thing to do in the world. I don't want to be popular. I don't want to have friends. I don't want to go out and party anymore. And I don't want to do those things. I want to be able to be around people who are growing, that I can grow with, who are past my level. And it is an absolute necessity for anybody trying to get to where they got to go. And that means in your sobriety, you need to talk to people who have got a lot longer sobriety than you. Financially, how did you get to this point? Teach me, right?
Yeah.
Um, the guy that shows up to work early every day, if you want to do that, then you need to find out what habits are you doing in your life that allows you to be the first person here and why, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And negative brings negative, man. And whatever level people are on, and I'm not talking bad about anybody, but there's people out there who wake up every day and thrive on a negative cycle of life. If you put yourself in there, you will only grow to that level. If you put an oak seed of a tree in a seed in a small plant, it will only grow to the size of that plant. It's not the oak tree or the seed's fault, it's the environment, right?
Yep.
That environment will only allow it to grow this much. So plant yourself in a pot so damn big that you don't even think you can grow to that point and watch what happens.
Yeah. It reminds me of Nick and Ryan, A Tribe of Giants. The book Nick wrote, The Giant and the Smalls. That's really what that book is based off. There's a village of giants and there's a village of smalls. And there's this one small that's telling his friends one day I'm going to be a giant, and they all made fun of him. It's like you're born a small, you will always be a small. And then one day he runs into a giant, and the giant starts teaching him that you could be anything that you want. If you want to be a giant, you can be a giant. And it's those type of people that you want in your bubble, you want in your circle, because they will
Absolutely.
help you get. I mean, what's that saying? I heard this many, many years ago, and it's come up here and there that um, you are like your five closest friends.
Yeah.
You go and look at
Yep.
your five closest friends, right? Your financial situation is the same. You live the same. You almost do the same things. It goes back to say if you want other things in your life, bring those people in your life because they help you along that journey.
It's true. It is. Yep. Yep. I think it is. It's show me the five people you hang out with, and I'll show you where you're going to go in your life. I
Yeah.
believe is what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%.
And this may sound crazy. However, my version of is with all the time you and I hang out together, right? Whether it's on hikes or working on certain jobs and things together, just the growth we have both seen in each other. And again, we talked about it at the first of the show, but it's because we are like-minded, right? We both want something different, but yet it's the same thing in our life, and that is to help as many people as possible, grow ourselves, become a better individual. um, do we want to make a better living? Absolutely. Do we want to have more time on our hands to go out and do the things we really love to do? Absolutely. And it's crazy to see where both our lives have gone just in the past 12 months.
It is. Yep. And, I'm a firm believer in be the change that you're trying to create, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're doing, right? I believe so, anyway.
Yeah. So what else do you have for our listeners when it comes to growth? I mean, we've touched on quite a bit already, just in a little over of a half hour, which is really cool. Is there anything else that's coming to mind?
Do the hard shit. Like, really, honestly, get rid of the people in your life that aren't supporting your growth. And that's the hardest thing to do. And so, I mean, your mom, your dad, husband, wife, whatever it is that's holding you back to staying stuck in a cycle, you have to remove yourself from that cycle. And that's difficult, right? And start reaching out because if you show up for you, then other people will show up for you, right? And if you start doing different and you are different, then you're going to attract different people. And I just want to encourage everybody to take a leap of faith, change the job, change the relationship, do something like whatever it is that you're doing. You're stuck in your daily cycle that is not providing you with a sense of happiness and purpose, then change it at all costs. And it's hard, right? I will change my situation at all costs, no matter what. And everybody in my life is well aware that I would do that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. You and I've talked about it. Yeah.
And I would expect the same from them. If I am no longer being the person that I'm supposed to be and who I want to be, and I am of no longer of value, and what I mean by value, not financially, but I mean as value to them as a human, as I
Yeah.
feel humans should be, then I would expect them to remove me from their life, right? And that should be okay. And I think that people need to be okay with that, right? Because if somebody comes to you and says, I need you to step it up, then I feel like if you don't, then you just show a lack of concern for that relationship, whatever that looks like, right?
Hmm.
Job wise, friend wise, relationship wise, anything. And if I did not take it serious, then I would expect nothing less but for them to cut me out of their life.
Yeah. Again, it's all part of that growth. You
It
know,
is.
and stepping into the unknown too. I mean, gosh, so many of us push away something that could totally change our life in a
Every
good
day.
way, in a good way, because of the fear of stepping into it. And I was reading a thing on Facebook that one of my good friends posted on there. And she's an amazing lady. And I'll just throw her name out there, Andrea Bangeter. I just love this woman to death. She's just an amazing lady. And she posted something about the relationship of her and Nick. stepping into that unknown. And so many people out there always looking for that perfect individual. And she put on this thing that there's like a list with a checkbox. And you have to check off every box on that list before you'll decide to be with that individual. And I found that very interesting how she put it, because I don't know how you can find a person that will check off every box. It's impossible. However, taking that leap, both them took that leap, that chance, and they found a connection. And the cool part that she wrote about this, if I'm not mistaken, they have both helped one another in their growth. They just added more energy to it. I mean, they just exploded in something in their life that might have taken them longer if they wouldn't have taken that chance and jumped in there, and then having the relationship, right? So like you and Kelly, you guys work on things together, right? It's not perfect. It's not been perfect for you guys. However, it's been a really good relationship because you guys sit down and talk, and you guys are both growing together in a positive way. And I think that is huge for our own individual growth as well as a growth as a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a good space. I've got a good girl, and we're able to have grown up conversations, right? And a part of growth, and another advice that I would say to have to people is, you know what? Have the hard conversations. Both of you guys and everybody in your life, whether it's the boss, whether it's whoever, you guys need to put that shit out on the table and let the chips lie where they lie, right? But you got to have the conversations. So many people avoid having the difficult conversations that so much is being held back because all you're doing is cheating each other in the relationship, whatever that looks like. If you guys aren't putting it all out on the table and having the hard conversations and then letting the chips lie where they lie, one or two things are going to happen, right? You're either going to respect it and it's going to vibe, or it won't. But at least you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so many people just every day, they just keep packing their lunch. And what I mean by that is when they're unhappy at work, whether they're unhappy in the relationships, whether they're unhappy with whatever, they just keep packing the lunch, right? They keep packing it and keep packing it, right? And 7 days a week, they keep packing the same damn lunch. Well, it's no wonder why you're going to get tired of eating the same thing, man. You got to unpack that shit and not hold it. And you got to put all your, whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah.
All of, however, just be authentic and genuine on where you are, what you're doing, and what you will and will not do for each other. And just let the chips fall.
However, the majority of us don't do that. Why? Is because
Yeah,
we don't want to hear somebody saying that we got a problem,
yeah,
right?
right.
They don't
It's
want to hear
true.
it. They don't want to know what their problems are. They're really good at pointing out the problems of everyone else, but they don't want to know their problems. And by God, there's no way you are going to grow unless you step up and sit there and listen to what somebody has to say that is being honest with you. I mean, if I wouldn't have listened to what my friend said years ago, if I wouldn't have listened to what Dave DeRocher said to me, if I wouldn't have listened to what you said to me, if I would have put my freaking ego up and built that wall, which would have been the old me 16 years ago, again, I would not be where I'm at today. You have to take those conversations. Okay, you don't have to. I get to say you get to take those conversations because it will help you in your growth. It changes you because none of us are perfect, right? We're all holding stuff in. And again, I love that analogy that you put about eating that same damn lunch every single day. The only way it's going to change is to open it up, change the lunch.
Right. I agree. Yeah, it's difficult, right? And I know I'm grateful that I'm able to hear the hard things, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I'm able to hear them and not go on defense mode and not think that nobody knows what they're talking about, right? I've tested the waters for long enough in my life to know that when I think that I got it all fucking figured out, I don't,
Oh, yeah.
right? And mine's more result driven than anything. And I just hope anybody who's listening to this will take my results that I tested over and over and over and make it so they don't have to have the hard test and the same result over and over and over. Because I used to think that it was my way or the highway, that I never had an attitude, that I wasn't X, Y, and Z. And the truth of the matter is I used to be one of the most difficult people to be around. I used to have no lack of empathy, like no empathy, no lack of concern for others. I was very self-absorbed, very focused on my needs and my needs only.
Yeah.
And you don't get far. And I was stuck in the victim mentality, dude. So that's like a whole bag of shit, right? Like all that in one, I was all that at one time.
That's a lot of
So you can
baggage to
imagine,
hold.
bro, that my life was chaos every day. I had dysfunctional relationships, friendships. My performance at work sucked. Like everything in my life was a direct byproduct of me and me not listening to other people, me thinking I had it all figured out. And once I'm able to let go of the victim mentality, start listening to people, being open to others' feelings, thoughts, emotions, and when I was able to actually step outside of myself and be of service to other people, and I don't mean by mowing their yard, I mean by being of service to other people, which is making myself available to them.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah, we've got to learn how to take a look at our ego a little bit too to help us with our growth. Because again, that's our ego can be used for good and our ego can be used for bad. And unfortunately, a lot of us use it for the bad, because we shut people out. I mean, the conversation you and I had about 4 days ago, after I kind of spilled out some shit, you started laughing.
Yeah,
You remember that? You
yeah,
started laughing, and I'm thinking, holy shit, here I am venting, and this guy's freaking laughing at me. Now the old me, I probably would have got pissed as hell. And I'm going, okay, he's laughing at me. Is there humor into this? And then you apologize. Like, I apologize. I don't mean to laugh, but really I do because it's funny, right? And I really had to look at that. And as you explained yourself, it really made sense to me. Instead of me getting so defensive, I allowed you to laugh at me, which you do that to a lot of people, man. They'll either turn and run or they'll fricking smack you right between the eyes. And again, to me, I appreciated that, which I don't know. Is that crazy to hear that you appreciate someone laughing at you for something that you said, which I have to say it helped my growth. It opened my eyes on some things.
I mean, I'm glad that you found the seriousness in my humor because I was, and and if I remember the situation correctly, I started laughing, and I believe I said, "Well, pal, we get what we get in life when we
Yeah.
make the choices that we make, right?"
Yeah.
And and now I probably wouldn't. I know you better than most, right? And you know me better than most, and you know I would expect the same from you. If I was to step out on my girl, or if I was to do something that destroyed my relationship or lose my job, where I'm at in my life now, and I told you, I would expect the same from you, right? Because I think the words out of your mouth, it should be, well, you fucking know better, bro. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And those are the difficult conversations where people are so scared because everybody's worried about hurting each other's feelings. And I don't give a shit about people's feelings when it comes to telling them things in life. Because on the other side of people's feelings, my friend, are what? Nothing.
Nothing.
On the
Yeah.
other side of my
Thank you.
feelings, nothing. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how I feel about it because my feelings don't produce results. On the other side of my feelings are nothing. So if I'm getting upset because somebody's telling me you get what you get, it still doesn't change. On the other side of my feelings is nothing. The fact is the fact, right?
Yep.
And and I think people oftentimes are so scared of upsetting people and and are worried about other people's feelings that holds people back from actually being to as much service as they can be, right?
Being helpful.
Right. Right. There's a delivery method that you approach, and your approach can be good and the delivery could be good, but you don't always have to be sensitive that you're going to hurt somebody's feelings because maybe that's what you need, right? Maybe at the time that's what I need. I needed my fucking feelings hurt for that to sink in to the point that, oh, okay, that's resonating with me.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times have you seen this where you have two people who are best friends? They're really close and they get in an argument and they both tell each other how they feel, and you see that friendship disappear.
So
However,
many times, and I think it's hilarious.
it is because a lot of times, not all the time, but the majority of the time, that friendship is pretty strong. Before you know it, they both stop and they both think about what was said. And slowly but surely, you start seeing that friendship come right back together again. And I think
Right.
too many times we get on the defense way too quick, way too quick. You know, that conversation, Joe, that we were talking about, that you laughed at me, I could have said fuck you and hung up the phone. Now, probably 15 years ago, that's probably exactly what I would have done. Now I'm going, okay, I sit in it. Like we talked about at the beginning of the show, right? I'm sitting in the shit and I'm listening to what you have to say. That to me, instead of allowing that to break our friendship apart, to me, that just brought our friendship even closer. And it's stronger, right? Because we've allowed each other, and we know in our growth means a lot to both of us, and we know where we want to go, and we know that there's probably going to be something beyond that where we're constantly going to be moving forward and helping as many people as we can. Again, that growth, you have to have that to get to the next level of your life, and it comes in so many different ways, right? It just doesn't come through friendship. It can come through work. It can come through a parent. It can come through a spouse. It can come from just somebody that you talked to on the street or met at a grocery store. I mean, seriously, our growth is coming at us every flipping direction if we just pay attention to it.
And we never give up.
And we never give up.
I want people to know that so many times people talk about all the things that you need to do to be a better person, but they never talk about the consistency that it takes, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, oh, well, it takes forever to change. Well, really, how long does it take to make a decision? There you go. It just takes consistency. It doesn't take forever to change. For you to make that decision, it doesn't take that long.
Mm-mm.
But in order for you to put that kind of change into your life, once you're used to having a habitual pattern of brokenness, that takes consistency. And I'm saying consistency over time because everybody's time frame is different. Some people learn quicker than others. Some people, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
the consistency has to be there. And I'm not saying in your mind that you should know that you're not going to get it perfect, but I am saying that you've got to be able in your growth journey, in your healing journey, in your journey to become a better person, to be able to give yourself some grace. Now, there's a difference between grace and making an excuse to yourself. There's a huge difference there. Nowhere are you allowed to make excuses for shitty behavior. But remember to give yourself grace because there's a lot of patterns and a lot of things that are going to take habitual, consistent work for you to change. And
Mm.
that's why it's super important to have people in your life that will not be yes men or women. Nobody needs that shit in their life. You need people in your life that are going to tell you, okay, you messed up, time to move on, don't do that shit again. And you know, if you do that shit again, that person's going to get into a fat part of your backside because they're not going to say it's okay. They're not going to say, they're not going to co sign on your bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's the people in my life. Nobody in my life today, dude, I would hate to have to answer to the people in my life today. I'm not even going to lie, right? I don't want to have to I'm not above it. And I'm not saying that it's not possible that I'm not going to make a mistake in my life, but I'm not looking forward to that phone call.
Yep. Yeah. Have people in your life that hold you accountable.
Right.
Because sometimes we're not able to do it on our own, right? I mean, in all seriousness, we're not able to do it on our own all the time. Sometimes we do choose that wrong path. Sometimes we do make a wrong choice or we say the wrong thing. However, when we can hold each other accountable, again, that adds to our growth. So many things that add to our growth that I go back now and look who I was 15, 16 years ago and realized I pushed all that shit away from me, all of it away from me. It was coming at me. It was trying to teach me. I wasn't allowing it because I was better than all that, right? You said that earlier. We think that we're better than all that, and we're not. None of us are. Even to where you and I are at in our lives right now, we're a long ways away still. Unless you disagree, unless you feel like you've already made it.
No, you know what, buddy? The day that I am unable to listen to somebody and their feedback on how I can better myself is the day that I know that I've got to get some serious help because the foggiest yet the clearest view that we have is out of our own windshield. And what I mean by that is nobody knows how bad I want to change but me. Nobody knows how bad I want this car or this goal or this relationship or this better than me because I'm the one with the vision. People can't see my vision, right? It's clear as I do. But yet, nobody is more capable of ignoring the steps that I need to take to get to those goals, to reach that growth, to hit that milestone than me because I have a limited field of vision. The people that I keep around me have got a lot broader view of vision of life than I do.
Yeah. Well put. Joe, buddy, thank you so much for taking time again out of your day to sit with me and do this show. It's always a pleasure to have you come back, which this is the second time. It's a pleasure working with you. You and I have some pretty good conversations during some of the jobs that we work on, and even our daily phone calls. Sometimes we get into some pretty heavy stuff. I just want to take the time right now too to say thank you for your friendship and thank you for your honesty and thank you for helping me become a better man and a stronger man. So I look up to you, brother, and I really do appreciate you.
And I want you to know the same. And you've been part of my journey. I've come a long ways from no car in the sober home to here we are now, right? I had
Yeah.
no car, barely holding on to my job, and it barely had a roof over my head. And now I've got more jobs than I need. And I'm very blessed to have a roof over my head and people around me who love and support and will not put up with any of my bullshit. And you are one of those people. And so I am grateful that I have you in my life so I can only be accountable to myself, but only not to just myself, but to the others around me. So it's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right, guys, there you have it. I believe that was a really good conversation about growth. A lot of great information that was shared, and the information that both Joe and I shared just is stuff that we've gone through, right? Joe talked about this in the show a couple times, and we can't do this stuff alone, man. We cannot. We cannot. It takes a higher power, whatever that higher power is for you, and it also takes individuals in your life that you surround yourself with who have also gone through it. Joe even talked about that to help us get to where we want to go and be the person that we want to be. So sit back and look at yourselves a little bit. Again, look at yourself in the mirror. Take a good, long, hard look at yourself in the mirror and figure some things out because we all deserve to be happy. Just remember that. We all deserve to be happy. And to get to where you want to go, you got to make some changes because you're not going to do it living the life that you're living now, whatever that may be. I'm not saying you're living a terrible life right now. Life may be good for you. However, there's still growth that we can add to our lives. So again, guys, thank you so much. Joe, thank you again for your time. Thank you to all our listeners and all our sponsors. Gosh, I want to say thank you to White Tree Medical, for their sponsorship. Hopefully, once they get me all their information, you guys will hear more about them because I'll be doing little breaks, talk a little bit more about them. So again, I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. And remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.